Hi, I'm Mike, and you're watching Spiritual Combat. And today, what I'm gonna be talking about is our black women and the so-called mental illness, and some of the issues they deal with mentally. I say so-called mental illness. I'll explain that later. Um, but what I see, what I've seen, my own experience, which what I've heard, what I hear about when I look around, stuff like that. A lot of our sisters just are off. They're crazy. Um, you can see in a lot of those videos on YouTube, stuff like that. You can. I actually had a friend I work with now. Um, he's a aircraft mechanic now, and he before that he worked in some type. It's like a mental institution. It's basically where if somebody was having mental issues, um, they'd bring. That's where the cops would drop them off at, not prison. They'd bring them to this place. And he said by far the majority of the people that were coming in there it was women coming in there. Um, and part of the inspiration doing this video was some comments that I had on another video I had done the day before, where I had some comments on a video where a woman was talking about she struck. Her mother struggled with some issues. One of the things she said is, she said, I need, my mother was extremely dysfunctional. She already was suffering from undiagnosed mental illness. She didn't know how to build healthy relationships. So growing up, she was very clingy, unpredictable, and abusive. And you know, you see that a lot in the black community, with a lot of our black women out there that you know they're just all over the place mentally, and then get, getting down to the bottom of it. Why? A lot of people just want to say, "Oh, cause they crazy," and just throw it away. Well, I'm about peeling layers away. You peel layers away, get to the bottom of something, then what's going on, and you could diagnose it and fix it. It's like that's where I'm a mechanic. That's the way I operate. That's the way I troubleshoot problems with something mechanical. You isolate the issue, and a lot of times it requires you to dig, get to the bottom of things. But one of the big issues with our women, and like I talked about it in the other video I did, is a lot of what they're going through is comes from weak men who can't control their lusts, um, and men who took advantage of them when they were young. One of the women on my video yesterday commented because I said I think I thought I said 1 in 3 black women have been molested or raped by the time they turn 18. And she was like, and I said, I think it might have been one out of two. And she confirmed. She said, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Cause she said, and you know, she talked to a lot of women, and majority of them had been in some type of situation like that. And that's kind of what I'm getting into today is, you know, uh, sex, just to put it real blunt, sex is powerful, and it affects your mind. What you find is a lot of these women who have sex with a whole bunch of people. It messes them up because on a spiritual level, your spirit's tied up with all these different people you have sex with, particularly in a woman. Men seem to be more immune to it, and I'll go into that later. But with women, having sex with a man changes their, them mentally, and the more men they have sex with, the more scatterbrained they seem to be. I was watching some videos on some women who they were in the porn industry, and they were just saying how they heard voices in their head, all types of crazy stuff, because they slept with all these different men and all that stuff like that. Same thing. Any women in the sex industry, in the sex trade, they're gonna be crazy, because that's what having a lot of sex with a lot of different men will do to you. You hear a lot of uh, pimps and stuff. They talk about turning a girl out when they get a woman that a new trick or whatever they call it. When they get one, they'll do what they call turning her out. They'll have all types of crazy sex, and just that pimp will have a ton of sex with that woman from the beginning, and do what he called turns her out. And what it's doing is messing her brain up and like hooking her brain onto him and all that stuff like that. And it's just like, it's sorcery, it's demonic, wicked magic, you know what I'm saying? And it's, I have to dig in the Bible and pull the verses out on that, but that's what it is. And, it's crazy because this stuff doesn't get talked about. And, I've heard this stuff before, but it doesn't get, what gets pushed more to women is, oh, you're your own woman. It's just free love and have sex, and the woman should be able to enjoy herself too. And that woman Amber Rose talking about whole days or whatever the heck she be talking about. And I'm gonna just show you how they're marketing poison to you. That stuff will destroy you. Going out there having sex with a bunch of men will destroy you. Women were not designed to have sex with a bunch of men, with different men, And unfortunately, these silly churches don't warn you. They don't tell you that. But it's important that you playing with weapons of mass destruction when you're out there having sex, okay? And now it's come out on a scientific level how dangerous, what's really going on. So it backs up what's in the Bible, but what these silly churches don't teach, because they so busy trying to steal your money, and the pastor busy trying to get in your pants. So anyway, let's check out what I got here for you. I got two articles, and I'll pull it up right now. Okay, so this is the first article, and it says, researchers discover the powerful psychological effects of semen on women's bodies, brains, and DNA. Okay? And this is the field guide. It's fieldguide.com, and we'll read it a little bit, and I have another article on this too. It says, in scientific terms, semen is what's known as a master regulator. Scientists have discovered how seminal fluid, which makes up approximately 70% of semen composition, has enormous psychological impacts on the female body and brain, including, among other things, the ability to activate genes, trigger changes in the uterus, reduce levels of depression in women, and make women sleep after sex, strengthen the emotional bond with their partner, and more. Okay? And like I said, I showed you the webpage, but I mean, right there, it's particularly to strengthen the emotional bond with their partner. You know what I'm saying? And you get these dudes out here, they players, and they, the hip hop songs. So yeah, just hit that pussy and run, and that's what they're doing. And I'm gonna go right into this, and the Bible warns you about this. What the Bible says, it says, "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanliness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence." Okay, and let's look up some of these. So, inordinate affection. Okay, so what I did, the uh, I pulled the definition up for affection: a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. So that's affection. Nothing wrong with that. But what's inordinate? Okay, so let me pull inordinate up, because I'm sure most people know the definition of that, of inordinate, but when I read it, I didn't. I had to go pull it up, and sometimes it helps to read the definitions. So the definition of inordinate is unusually or disproportionately large and excessive. So unusually and disproportionately large and excessive affections. Okay, that's how I was when I was young. I wanted some puss. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't worried about no relationship. I just wanted to, do my thing. Okay, and that's how a lot of dudes are. So inordinate affection, and then it says evil concupiscence. Okay, so we know what evil is, but what is concupiscence? Okay, and the definition of that is strong sexual desire or lust. Okay? There's nothing wrong with having strong sexual desire or lust. I have that for my wife. I want her. You know what I'm saying? I was giving her a hard time today, you know? But it says, the Bible verse warns you about, it says evil concupiscence. So evil, strong sexual desire or lust. What's it talking about? It's talking about, oh yeah, I'm like, they see what you got on. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna get that puss. No matter what I gotta do, no matter what I gotta tell her, I'm gonna get it. That's evil concupiscence. That's what it's warning you about. That's what God is trying to warn us about, is, hey, don't get caught up in that. If you're a guy, don't do it. And if you're a woman, don't do it. And what ends up happening when, okay, bam, I slept with this dude. You get hooked onto him. Then he break it off with you. And all this stuff is happening inside you. He's put semen in you or whatever. You're attracted to him. And that's why. And then, well, okay, I kind of messed up with him. And then you go mess with another dude. He do the same thing. Then another dude. He do the same thing. Then another dude. Then he do the same thing. Then another dude. He do the same thing. That's 4. And then another dude. Then the same thing. Then another dude. Then the same thing. And then the next thing you know, your mind ain't right. And you start acting crazy. And you get angry quick. And you don't know whether you're going to come. Your emotions are all over the place. Your PMS is out of this world, And then some good dude finally does come along, and he's Mr. Right, but you're Miss Wrong, because your mind ain't right, because you haven't stopped and got your mind right. You got spirits in your head now. Stuff is influencing you. Your mind ain't right. Okay? Now let's check out this article. Okay? All right, it says, does semen control a woman's behavior? Exposure may affect genes, hormones, fertility. Research claims. Study: man semen can affect the genes and behavior of females. Phenomenon called seminal signaling is widespread in animal world. Seminal proteins produced by males can affect gene expression in women. Semen can affect women's mental. So, and that's the Daily Mail. And you can look up more about that. They had an acronym for it, NGA or something like that. but I can't. I don't know where it's at on there, but you can look up more. There's plenty of information out there about it, but they don't put it out there. It's almost like, see, they're trying to empower women and tell women, oh, you're so strong, you're this, you could do whatever any man does. So they don't want to put stuff like this out. And they don't want you to slow down having sex. They want you out there wilding out, destroying yourself. So, you have a lot of women and they're out there crazy and they don't know why, like what this woman wrote here. And I don't know exactly what happened to her mother, because it wrote, excuse me, my mother was extremely dysfunctional. She already was suffering from undiagnosed mental illness. And I'm telling you, you go out there and hoe around enough, eventually you're going to have mental illness. I've seen these women. And how do they self-medicate for it? Okay? Because there's no answers out there. The silly churches aren't telling you how to get your mind right. And there is a way to get your mind right. But a lot of women, what do? They self-medicate with what? Alcohol, drugs, stuff like that, more sex, That's how they self-medicate, and they end up destroying themselves. And then what happens eventually, then you throw in diseases, and then it gets even worse. Then on top of that, let me bring up another point is the Bible says what's the verse? I'll try to pull it up, but it said they hold on. Maybe I could pull it up here. Okay, there we go. I found it. It's Romans chapter 1, verse 27 says, in the same, well, that's the New International. I like using the King James. So it says, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly and receiving in themselves. All right, hold on. Let me pull this whole. Or even their women did change. Okay, so here we go. For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections. Okay. Again, I'm gonna just look up vile, just so we could get a good. It says extremely unpleasant, morally bad, wicked. Of little worth or value. Wow. Of little worth or value. And that's but gave them up to vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. So anyway, what I'm saying is anal, oral sex, whether on a man or woman, man on man, woman on woman, whatever, is, you shouldn't be doing it. And people are like, oh, what? Can't get no head. Yeah, you shouldn't do it. Look, because when the sperm, and I'm getting ready to do a video about homosexuality and why it's so bad. Sperm, when you ejaculate in a woman's vagina, is set up for that. So she has natural chemicals, bacteria, fluid, whatever you want to call in there, that fights the sperm. It actually, you got to study up on it. And it's actually a battle in there, and it's a war for the sperm to get to the egg, because a woman's body fights it off. Okay. When you doing anal or oral sex, that's not there. All that stuff goes straight into your blood. That's why, the STDs and stuff like that are so widespread in the homosexual community. Because what did it say about vile? Of little worth. It's of little worth to do anal oral sex. It just feels good. But everything that feels good ain't good. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these people, they mind ain't right. But like I said, that's gonna be in when I do that video on that. I'll bring all that out. But again, it's just warning you against going out there doing all this crazy stuff. And people like, oh, the Bible's an old book, and they just don't want you to have fun, this, that, and the other. When you like the church just does stuff for ritual reason. When you study the Bible and study what the reason God gave you the laws, he says, don't do this. There's a logical reason why he said don't do it. He did not tell you, he didn't say don't do this because I just want you to suffer. He's telling you to stay away from certain things because it's going to destroy you. Like, I see these women be out here. It's like you can't even protect yourself from it now. You can't even avoid it. These women be out here with everything hanging out, jiggling. And as a man, you can't help but get the naughty tingles when you see them. You know what I'm saying? But you got to fight it. And it's like suffering. It's like, oh, man, I want to look at that, but I don't, because you start getting caught up in it. Then you want to holler at her. Then you end up sleeping with her or whatever. And then it's a mess after that. It's a disaster because if a lot of these women, like I said, their minds ain't right. And a lot of these dudes are lust-filled nightmares. I've seen them. I know. And I was too. I was hooked on internet porn and all that stuff like that. See that, and that's the fuel on the fire is this internet porn is blowing people's minds. Like I see dudes, especially at my job, they're just weak and they can't stand up to the lust, and they've caved in and they're just overtaken by that. And God forbid they run into some woman, they just, there's not going to be a relationship there. As soon as the lust dies off, then they're going to be moving on to something else. And the woman's just going to be sitting there like, oh, I just never have any success with men, But yeah, it's a mess. What else? I was going to say something else, but yeah. Oh, and so naturally women are asking, so how, well, how do I pick a man then? How do I weed these men out? Well, number one, if he's a real man and he's a real fighter, he should have that lust under control. Hold that puss back. Don't give it to him too quick. You need to look and see if he lines up with these biblical standards, with what the Bible lays out. And you're not going to know that. You're not going to figure that out going to these silly churches. These churches don't teach nothing. These churches teach like 10% of what's in the Bible. And that 10% that they teach, they manipulate that into making you give them money out of it. They don't even teach it for what it's worth. You got to get under a good Bible teacher and get in the Bible yourself and see what the qualities of a good man are. And there's a lot of stuff in there that outlines the qualities of a good man. There's a lot of stuff, but basically they got to be like Jesus. They got to walk like Jesus. They got to be about those 10 commandments. If you start seeing a dude and you catch him in little lies and you see all this, he shiesty weird stuff about him, not weird, but just, he's not a man of honor, a man of his word, a humble type man, cut him off quick. Even when you see the slightest hint of it, cut him off. The problem is for men and for women, it's rare to find a good example of what a good man is, especially with the fathers being absent in the homes. Okay. I hope I didn't get off the subject too much. And then these soft men, that I mean, it ain't a man should be austere. That's what it said about Jesus. Jesus was an austere man. Let's see if I could pull that up. It says severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance. That's good. You know what I'm saying? And austere, having an extremely plain and simple style of appearance, unadorned. That's me. That's the way I am. You know, of living conditions or a way of life having no comforts or luxuries, harsh, uh, and ascetic. I ain't the best reader, so just deal with it. But yeah, severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance. That's a real man, not these. Not the look. I'll give you a good example of dudes to avoid. These dudes who don't speak directly. It's always kind of, hairy fairy is never a direct, solid answer. Like me, when I'm talking to people, it's straight up, no game, right down the middle. You know, I and now that I'm trained to look at this and I got a good understanding, I can discern spirits. When I'm talking to dudes, I could pick up on that real quick, you know. And see, I play a lot of basketball and I run into a lot of athletes. I'm social, so I know a lot of people. And I'll tell you this: the three types of people that I've seen to be true. Well, and I'll put four then, but to be truly real men, warriors. A lot of times in an unhealthy sense, though, is people who've been to jail, they've done some serious prison time. Football players, because a lot of times the NFL football players, they'll come play basketball where I play at, and they straight up no joke, with the football players. And then what's the other one? I think that's about it though. There was one more. What's the other one? Oh, but you gotta be careful with people who've been in the Marines or in the Army, who have seen combat, who've done some killing. I work with a couple dudes like that, and some of them are a little crazy though. So, like I said, you gotta be careful. The football players, same thing, kind of crazy. Like they'll pop off. They ready, they're about it. They're ready to go. They ready to go to war. They're warriors, but their minds ain't right spiritually. And then same with the jail people. They've been at that heightened state of awareness, always watching out. So they're warriors. They have to be at this heightened, turned up state all the time, to an unhealthy level. But I tend to get along with them better because they straight up. These soft, feminized dudes, I've known gay dudes, it's like I can't even be around them because they can't give you a direct answer. And you can almost sense them watching you to see how they're going to respond. And it's like, I don't play that. I don't even like being around them. Okay. And then the fourth one is a biblical man. A man, I'm talking about a real biblical man. Okay. And I guarantee, like, that's the 1%. Most women have not been around a true biblical man. So, and a lot of times, if you were around a true biblical man, he'd piss you off almost instantly because he'd be straight up with you, and you'd probably come at him sideways. But watch more of my teachings, watch a lot of my videos. I got a bunch on YouTube, and I post them on Facebook, and I do them on Facebook occasionally. But watch them, and you'll get a sense. I'm not saying I'm the perfect biblical man, but for the big things, I'm straight up on them. I wouldn't do a woman wrong. I ain't trying to uh, skis around and do manipulative stuff to get with another chick or something like that. I got my wife. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I would be a model for you to gauge, hey, how's this dude? Or if you have a question about some dude you talking to or whatever, hey, is he a good dude? And you could tell me a couple things about him and I could discern it real fast. Oh, nah, cut him off. Or nah, he got some issues, watch out, run. Or nah, stay with him. I could tell you that. And, and, but don't rely on me. Eventually what you need to do is get an understanding of what's in the Bible. Of what God lays out for a real man to be. And it ain't nothing hairy-fairy and religious or nothing like that. It's very logical. It's stuff that'll protect you. So let's see. I think and one of the ways our women get deceived with these men, and they get caught up and end up sleeping with men and then getting their hearts broke. The biggest thing, and that's why I did that one video where I was talking about that silly song that John Legend wrote and the horrible, terrible, destructive effects of R&B music. The reason why I talk about it is because it gives women and men the wrong idea of what love is. Because and I have check out my video on it. It's called what the Bible, what the world calls love, the Bible calls lust. It calls inordinate affections. That's what the world calls love. And it's pushed hard. It's in the music, it's on TV, it's in the movies, it's just around you in society, it's with your friends, everything. A woman meets a man and he's speaking these words correctly to her, and she feels these emotions coming up, and well, she goes and asks around, and hey, is he this? Is he, she asks for advice, and all the advice out there is pushing her right into the trap. It's, well, how do you feel about him? Well, I like him. Well, how's he look? Well, he looks good. Well, does he have a job? Yeah, he has a job, Well, yeah, I could try him out, and it sounds good on the surface, doesn't it? But she's walking into a trap, You all the stuff you just named doesn't have anything to do with anything, So let's look at the Bible's definition of love, okay? And it's very simple, because the world tell you is, oh, love is this, you can't explain love, it's this, is that, No, there's actually a simple, straightforward definition of what love is. And let's pull it up. And it's 2 John chapter 6. So, all right, let me pull it up. There we go. It says 2 John chapter 6, verse 6. It says, and this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. Okay, so this is love, that we walk after his commandments. And what are his commandments? It tells you don't cheat on anybody, love your brother, as love God. That's the first commandment, and he has a bunch of other law, statutes, and commandments that he laid out for us. And all the stuff is laid out to prevent us from being hurt, telling you to showing you that you need to get that. If you have this strong, insane lust, like I used to have, addicted to porn, wanting more and more puss and looking at women as just some puss and not a relationship thing or anything like that. It shows you, hey, you need to get this in order. You need to get this under control, so that when you do meet a woman, then you know how to deal with her. But men aren't doing this. And it's telling the women, look, evaluate what he wants from you. You know, see what type of man he is. Look to see if he's keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, this, that, and the other. You know, and you'll protect yourself from a bunch of hurt. Don't trust those feelings, them emotions that come up. Don't trust them. If they don't line up with what's in the Bible, leave them alone. If they're getting so strong where, oh, you can't stop yourself from calling them or something like that, or you have to see them, they're too strong. You let them get too strong and, you know, you're in trouble. That's not right. You're not supposed to have emotions that strong. And the Bible tells you, guard your emotions, guard your heart. You know, you're supposed to learn how to hold them emotions back so you don't end up sleeping with every man that comes along or spits some good line to you. And a lot of these women think they're so, you know, the society and the movies and television, everything has these women so gassed up thinking, you know, they're so powerful and so strong. And like I said in some of my other videos, like before I came into the truth and got into the word, I was a pure player. I studied how to manipulate these women into dropping their panties and all that stuff like that. And what I'm telling you, now there's stuff on the internet showing you how to game women and what to say. And I'm telling you, the stuff is so good, so effective, so strong that the only way you won't be susceptible to it is by being in the word. There is nothing else out there. You can study Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, whatever it is that's out there is not gonna protect you from the game. Like when one of these pure players come, and I've had friends, that's what they were. And the women who they got the best were the strong ones. Like one of my friends was messing with this woman. She was some type of executive, made like $500,000 a year, you know, big high up woman. And he twisted her. And she had a kid, and the kid got all attached to him. And the woman didn't trust him and kept checking on him. And he actually wasn't doing anything bad, but she just didn't trust him. I mean, eventually he would have done something bad, but anyway, and he got pissed and just broke it off. Boom. And maybe a couple months later, he met some other chick and, you know, moved to another city. And he was telling me how the kid was so jacked up from him being there. And, you know, this dude was real personable, talkative, everything like that. But the kid was so jacked up that after he had broke it off, and like this dude, he didn't care. Like once he cut something off, it didn't bother him at all. It was all an act, and you could not see through it. It's dangerous out there. But anyway, after he cut the woman off, the kid took her phone and would call him sometimes just to see when he was coming back, and all that stuff messed him up, you know, all because these women, they're so cocky and prideful, think they know how to choose a man. These dudes you run it. There are dudes out there who are just pure players. They got every little thing down. And the worst woman to be is those aggressive women who think, you know, the women who can banter back and got all the quick, smart responses. Those are the easiest, quickest ones. Okay? Take my word for it. You gotta, and it's the same, applies to women. The same thing I tell men. You gotta be ruthless with your time. You gotta cut a man off real quick when he don't line up with what's in that word, like with the standards that a real man should have. So, And one of the reasons you have to cut them off real quick is because you could only hold your emotions back so long. You keep a lot of these dudes, they know that, hey, if they stick around, keep pumping that game to you, them panties gonna drop. So it's imperative that you know what the what the standards are for a real man. And it's not anything emotional or hairy-fairy or anything. It's more like a checklist. It's like I told you, hey, go buy me a 1992 Toyota Tacoma extended cab red. Okay, so you go to the dealership. All right, what year is that? Oh, that's a 93. Oh, no. I need a 92. Okay. All right, that's a 92 Toyota. Oh, it's not an extended cab. So that's how strict you need to be with this thing. Okay? And hey, I warned you, this is a fight for your mind. You mess around with too many of the wrong dudes, your mind will get blown. The STDs are out here going rampant. They talking about that Zika virus now will sit in a man's balls for like 6 months. It's dangerous out there, And like I said, part of that, get tested before anything gets stuck in anything else. Get yourself tested, both of y'all together. It's dangerous out there, and above all things, you gotta pray, because God gotta be behind you too. It's almost impossible out there, but with God, everything's possible. I mean, here I am, been married going on 7-8 years now, and for black folks out there, it's dangerous, Then the other thing, your mind, you got to get your mind right first, and you ain't gonna do it going to a psychologist and them prescribing some potion to you, which that's what psychology is. When they're prescribing you these medications that alter your mind, is sorcery. That's what the Bible calls it, sorcery, pharmakia. I got some videos on that. That's what that is. That's not going to get your mind right. They talk that these psychologists and psychiatrists, they talk about, oh, you have a chemical imbalance. Well, they don't have a standard for what your chemicals are supposed to be at. So what happens, they give you these medications and you're feeling good, but it's throwing something else off. And then eventually your body builds up immunity to it, and it doesn't have the same effect. They prescribe you something stronger, and then something stronger. And then you try to get off it and you end up killing yourself or going extremely crazy. I forget you have to look it up, but the number, it's like 90% of people who commit suicide are on antidepressants. Oh, and I mean, that's one of the warnings for a lot of psychotropic drugs out there that may cause suicide. Well, damn. So what's the solution? Because that's what I'm about, solution. What is the solution? It's the way I broke my sexual addiction to pornography. It's the way I got my mind right. It's the way I stopped being an alcoholic, which I was an alcoholic for like 32 years or whatever. Well, not 32, but ever since I was maybe 16, 17 or something like that. But anyway, what's the solution? How do you get your mind right? How do you get those spirits and that demonic oppression off your mind? How you get it right? You have to pray, fast, and seek the Lord. And let me break down how that works. When I say praying, I mean talking to God. I don't mean saying some Catholic, holy prayer or something like that. I'm talking about talking to God, confessing your heart, talking from your heart, and like really coming out with how things really are and how helpless you are. Because that's what I had to say with the internet porn. The internet porn, I told God in a prayer, I said, I can't stop looking at it, and I'm not. I said, I'm going to keep looking at it. But what I am going to do is give up something that I can give up. I can stop eating. I can stop watching TV. I can stop holding on to unforgiveness. Like I can fast and let go and sacrifice these things to you, to show that I earnestly, truly want to stop looking at this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's like the fast part. And then seeking the Lord. What's seeking the Lord? Studying the Bible, finding out what he's trying to save you from. Like the Bible is a map to a minefield, and it's showing you where all these mines are at. So you need to study the Bible and find out where these minefields are at in your life that you keep stepping on before you blow yourself up. So, and how do you do that? Study the word. If you don't understand the Bible, because there's a lot of scripture that needs to be broken down to you, find a good teacher. I got a bunch of videos. Watch a bunch of my videos. There's other people out there, but find the answer, get to the bottom of things so you could get your mind right, because you can lose your mind. You could go crazy. You could lose your mind. And like this one pastor said, you could lose your mind, and then where does it go? And where'd it go? And then how do you get it back? And the way you get it back is by doing what I say, praying, fasting, seeking the Lord. You got to want to do it though, and realize that it's the only way. It is deceptively tough out here. This world to the eye looks good and everything looks nice and the clouds look nice and everything looks good, but it is deceptively tough and evil and easy to get destroyed out here. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, hope this video was informative to you. Check out my other videos. I'm on all this stuff right here at the bottom. My name's Mike, and have a nice day.